I don't think he'd go down very well, to be honest. I think the wealth factor is a factor in this race. It's not just about being wealthy. I'm not anti-wealth myself. But I think with Rishi, he's so wealthy, twice as wealthy as the Queen. As we go into this big cost of living crisis, we're in it now, as it gets worse over the winter, I think that's going to become a factor. I think questions about blind trusts, tax avoidance, all of those kinds of questions are going to follow a Prime Minister Sunak in a big way. I think he's actually quite a big risk for the party.
So even though those issues might not be at the top of the agenda for Conservative Party members, you're talking about what would happen if it was Sunak versus Starmer at a general election.
Yeah, I'm talking about, how would Rishi Sunak go down in the country more generally?
And because he's saying, by the way, he is more electable than Truss. He's been on the record today saying Truss can't be elected. Prime Minister, I can.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting view. Unlike Truss, we actually have a lot of polling on Rishi Sunak. And if you look at the latest polling that we have on how he was performing as Chancellor, how he was seen in the country, the blunt reality is his ratings collapse over the last year, so that he's now in minus territory. He's got a net negative. He's not seen as a popular politician. He wasn't seen as doing a good job
is he telling the
in the Treasury. I think what they're trying to project, based on a few opinion polls from a long time ago, is this idea that, Sunak is credible, he can win an election and so on. Actually, I don't think that's where Conservative members are. And the polling today, I think, actually seems to show it. A lot of polling I've been doing, Dan, shows the same thing. I think actually Conservative members are going to want somebody that is absolutely committed to Brexit, is not associated with expanding the state and raising taxes when they're in power, and somebody that they can trust overall. And probably, you know what they're thinking? Liz Truss isn't the perfect candidate. She's not got anywhere near as much charisma as Boris Johnson, but they're probably asking themselves, can I actually trust this candidate to deliver conservatism, right? Are they a conservative? And I think ultimately that's probably going to swing it for Liz.
She is, he's not. Can we talk a little bit more about that poll? Because, look, obviously it showed Sunak lagging spectacularly behind Truss. But the thing that interested me was the trustworthiness question, because 6 out of 10 Tory members don't think you can trust him. And I've been sensing this everywhere, on social media, in my email inbox, when I speak to people on the street about this race. This idea, and I obviously feel it too, but I'm not just saying it because I feel it, it's a sense that I pick up, that Conservative Party members are very angry with the way he stayed in Cabinet, even though he had turned on Boris, and we know he was planning his campaign, and we know he'd registered his campaign website, for example, back in December. That sort of deception people are really angry about and can't just get over.
I think that's a real thing. I don't think that's just in your world. I heard much the same from MPs on the terrace earlier this week. There is a sense of betrayal. But also beyond that, actually, I think there's a sense that Rishi Sunak is the wrong politician for the current time. I think I've heard people describe him as George Osborne 2.0. Yeah, he's too metropolitan.
What about David Cameron 2.0, as Carol McGiffin said earlier?
He's too metropolitan, he's too slick, he's too put together, he's a smooth operator. That's one of the criticisms of Sunak, right? Now, I think that's definitely there. But also, there's policy, Dan. There's a lot of people that I come across who say, this isn't actually a blank slate candidate. This is somebody who's been in office, and these are the things he's done in office. And actually, that's not the kind of conservatism that I associate with the party after Brexit.
Well, and also look around. Look at the economy. It's not working, is it? And he, obviously, there were lots of external factors. Of course there were, but he was the Chancellor that took us to this position and took us to the highest tax burden in 70 years.
I mean, I've heard that all week. I think it's a factor. You can see it in the polls. And I think there are a lot of people, particularly people behind the Kemi campaign, for example, who feel that actually what the party probably needs now is somebody that is going to be true to Conservative principles, is going to really turn the guns on Keir Starmer and the Labour Party. And actually, you know, my view of Liz Truss is she's not the perfect candidate. But there was a moment in the debates where you saw her turn to Rishi Sunak and really just let loose. And I heard...
When he thought, by the way, that he had got a gotcha moment.
Yeah, and I think one MP said this to me earlier this week, and I think it was right. He said there was a glimpse there of actually what she might be like if she turned her guns on Starmer. And that's what they're clinging to. I'm not saying she's the answer, but that's what they're clinging to.